all of this has been really good foundation to understand astrocartography maps. So astrocartography, the map of our planetary lines around the world. So astro, like astrology, or of the stars, which, you know, also could be, we could use a different term for that, but we don't, so it's fine. Cartography is, you know, map making, maps. So this is taken from astro.com. This is Edgar Cayce's chart. So again, he was born around here in the United States, and in the afternoon, so if this is the eastern direction, remember he was born at 3:20 p.m., so the sun is going to be this way from his birth location. Over here you see a 0, that's the equator. So each circle represents the zenith of the planet at the time he was born. So he was born with the sun just before it entered Aries, so it's just below the equator here, and it's off in the afternoon, so it's the west of his birth location. And we're looking at the straight lines. So you have your midheaven line here for the sun, and on the other side of the earth, remember I showed you the circle, the Azimuthal Equidistant Projection of the earth. This line extends through the North Pole all the way over here, and it goes through Saudi Arabia, the Horn of Africa, on the tip of Madagascar over here, and this is the icy part of this sun line. So if you remember, on his western wheel circle chart, the moon, so here's the glyph for the moon, and this is the midheaven line, so that's going to be the overhead line, was close to his midheaven. Remember, and Pluto was on the other side, so his birthplace is here, his moon is here, his Pluto is here. So this is the same projection from astro.com of his natal chart that I've been showing you. I'm not going to go over what all these lines are. You know, I'm just giving kind of a basic here. So this is my own Solar Fire software, and this is the same chart, it's just a different kind of view. So he was born about here. You have, in this software, you actually have a midheaven line. It says MC, and again, I'm sorry it's pixelated, but this is just kind of for reference. We're not really diving deep into the chart. In this software, I have turned on the ecliptic. So in this ecliptic, in the software, you can see the moon's a little bit above, Pluto's a little bit below. The sun will always be on the ecliptic path because, you know, these calculations, these reference points are based on the sun. The sun gives life to the world. So tropical zodiac, you know, astrology and everything is based on the sun. So you have the Tropic of Cancer up here, Tropic of Capricorn down here. So this represents daylight, so the sun is going to be in the center. Anyway, all of that's not super important, but I'm just giving you kind of a reference. So in the other map, you see that the sun is kind of halfway between like Alaska and California here. You have the midheaven line, here's his moon, and Pluto's on the other side of it. In this software, we do have an ascendant line, and on astro.com they don't show an ascendant line, but remember Uranus was just on the other side of the ascendant line. So I'm just going to show you one more software. This is Janus. This is another paid software that I have. And so we're looking at the same thing. So his birth location is here. This is Kentucky. And you have, they do the planets a little bit differently here. You have the midheaven for sun. And so this is his line here, kind of halfway between California and Alaska. And going north and continuing that to the other side of the Earth, you have the sun line in its IC position, and you don't have a glyph there. They don't put the glyphs at their zenith positions. In this software, you'll see the equators here, 0, they just line them all up on here. But these are just 3 different software. I'm just trying to show you a reference point so that you'll see how I projected it onto this Azimuthal Equidistant Projection of the map, that they're all the same. So this is Kentucky. You'll see the moon, MC, the line is here, and just on the other side of it, you have the Pluto, MC line here. So this is what I'm offering for you guys. I have Illustrator skills, but I don't have computer software skills. So what I can do is, what I'm offering to you is, if you're interested in purchasing your own natal chart in this view, in this projection, I'll have a link in the description, and I can create this for you. It's a custom chart. I do it by hand, and I use the process that I just explained to you. But again, this is Edgar Cayce's chart. He was born at 3:20 p.m. in Kentucky, USA. So here's the United States. Here's his birthplace. You have the MC and your IC line this way. His sun is over here, just like I've shown you, throughout. His sun is over here. His midheaven is here. His moon is here. His Pluto is here. And then you have the ascendant here, and Uranus is just on the other side of that. So I have my little key here. The yellow line is the tropics, the red line is the equator, the orange line is the ecliptic, the red cross is the birth location, and this that I've added for this view for you guys just right now, I have these wide lines. So the wide end is the planet location, the MC of the planet, or the zenith of the planet, and it's marked by the glyph. So just like the chart that I've been showing you this whole time, I put the chart behind the map. I placed the planets there, and then I used, then I put them within the tropics, and then I made sure that they were placed on the ecliptic, the orange line. And like I was showing you just now in the other maps on the other software, the zenith, MC of the planet, I have the thicker line, and then the narrow end is the icy energy of that planet. So this is just kind of easy to see because it's not jumbled up because the planets aren't in conjunction here. So Jupiter here, the thicker end of the line is where your planet's MC or zenith, or where it would be overhead. Like literally, if you were in Australia, this is like Darwin area, at this time when Edgar Cayce was born, if you were in Darwin, Jupiter would be basically right overhead. So the IC energy of that planet is over here, in South America, and it would cross through Japan, and it goes. So what I'm showing you here is exactly, so let's just take Jupiter. We're looking at Darwin here, Japan here, and you come through South America here. Let's go up to astro.com. And like I told you before, I'm using the same colors. So Jupiter is this kind of pink purple color. I'm using all the same colors for the planetary lines as Astro, and I use the same, symbol here. So the Jupiter IC line comes through South America here, but the MC, and you have the planetary the bubble here, is close to Darwin, in the middle of the country, by Darwin here. So I went back and forth from all of these maps, from all of these different softwares, and I placed all of these lines on this projection of the map instead of the flat squared out projection of the map. And a lot of people think this is really confusing, and what does the MC line and what does the IC line mean? This is what it is. People are confused about astronomy and astrology and all this stuff. You guys are overcomplicating things. this is actually what's going on. This is a much simpler way to view this stuff. This is his natal chart. As I've shown you through the whole, this whole presentation. He was born here, the sun was over here, Mars and Jupiter were over here. Mars and Jupiter aren't like, when I overlaid the charts on top of each other, the glyph itself was kind of at the edge of the chart, but that's just how, that particular chart placed the glyph. This is what's going on, the IC energy of the planets go north, cross the North Pole, and go to the other side of the planet. And on my view, I don't have your ascendant and descendant energy lines like you do on these other softwares, and you see these curves, because honestly it would just make my version, it's kind of cluttered, and people get so confused about these anyway, and they say, why does everything overlap in, this happens all the time, I see in all these groups, people say, why do I have all these lines that overlap in Iceland, or in, this is Siberia somewhere, and then, they go off the map here. The reason that you're getting all of these crossovers is because you're looking at the wrong projection of the map. This is what's going on. The sun was here when Edgar Cayce was born, and if you project the MC energy on the other side in a direct line, this is the IC energy of that placement. And if you want the AC and DC energies, you're going to look to the ecliptic here. And that's the orange line. And again, I'm not putting those on this particular map because it's already pretty busy. I think it's quite, to use David Cochran's word, he used that a lot in his video for Placidus, elegant. He said Placidus is really elegant, and I think this view is really elegant to my eye. His birthplace is here, the sun is over here. Okay, so, and I've mentioned a couple of times that his sun placement on the map is kind of halfway between Alaska, which is hidden here, and California, which is right here. So this line goes kind of halfway between that. Alaska's kind of hidden because you have this stellium of all of these planets conjunct, and these lines are just, because I have these lines on the map, they just are covering, Alaska, but that's its placement. And then, as I mentioned before, this sun line goes through Saudi Arabia, the Horn of Africa, and just the tip of Madagascar here. So, here we go. The sun's IC energy, this line goes through, Saudi Arabia, Horn of Africa, just on the, the edge of Madagascar, and if we look over here, the sun is here, California is here, and Alaska's here, and this is, you have this stellium, all these planets are conjunct, and that's why these lines are kind of covering up Alaska. But also, when the map projection that I'm using, all of these areas at the North Pole are actually smaller, and this map projection, all of these areas are stretched to be larger than they actually are. So again, that's why on my version here, they kind of, you can't really see Alaska, they kind of cover up, just because these land masses are actually much smaller than they are here. They're stretched here. But again, that's why, you can't really see Alaska in my version of the map, just because I have these lines kind of covering it. You can see here. I'm just going to give you a really quick visual at a couple other charts, because I've been using Edgar Cayce's through this whole presentation. This is my chart. I'm turning the wheel so that midheaven is straight up and down. See, you can see the vertical line here, so that's midheaven. Instead of your horizon, your ascendant, descendant, east, west being you know, straight across. Just for the map, I'm turning it so that the map is straight up ahead, or your birth location and your zenith and your midheaven is straight up ahead. So I turned my chart, and then I put the map over it. So your midheaven and your IC, this line is straight up and down. I was born in Texas, so that's approximately here. Let me turn off my natal chart behind. So I placed the planets on the map. And then I adjusted them, make sure they're between the tropics. I put them on the ecliptic as close as possible. And, you know, with stelliums and conjunctions, you know, the planets are as close as possible. And then, you know, I have the planetary lines. So in my personal chart, I have an interception. You know, this is my midheaven and this is my ascendant. So I actually have the sign of Capricorn intercepted here, and I have the sign of Cancer intercepted over here. And that's another reason why Placidus just makes so much sense, because you're looking at zodiac signs intercepted, as well as other things that Placidus offers with the house cusps. And it just allows fine-tuning of the chart. And a lot of charts I see for people, they don't have interception, so, you know, other, you know, porphyry or coke or campanus or even whole sign can work. But when it comes to like my personal natal chart, looking at it with Placidus, with my interception, it fits me and my life much more than like whole signs do. I do use whole signs, just as a, you know, as a sidebar. I do use whole signs. I do a lot of Indian interpretive techniques on the tropical zodiac, but I don't use whole signs for everything, for every technique. There's a time and a place for each of those. Here I have the chart behind. I have the map of the Earth on top of it. So I'll turn off the chart now. I have the planetary placements placed within the tropics and on the ecliptic. And then you have these lines that show the MC energy, and it's just a straight line to the other side of the Earth with the IC energy. So this is your natal chart. This is an in Mundo AstroCartoGraphy chart. This is what you're looking at. Thank you, David Cochran, for you know, the idea of the chart being elegant. I think this is a really elegant way to look at your natal chart. This is, you know, again, whether you think the Earth is flat or not, it doesn't matter. This is what your chart comes from. The wheel chart is depicting what's going on here. This is it. It's just, you know, I took the chart away that has the tick marks for all the 360 degrees, and I don't have the, you know, degree of Pisces, you know, marked for all of the planets. I suppose I could offer a chart with, I could put the degrees either next to it or maybe outside. I just think this is just a really elegant way to look at your natal chart. Don't you think so? What do you think? I hope you guys like it, and I hope you're interested in purchasing, you know, your own natal chart in this view from me, in Mundo AstroCartoGraphy style natal chart.